right, well, good morning again, everyone. For those of you, if you weren't here this morning, my name is AJ Waters, Chief Evangelist at Kahua. And just a quick on who Kahua is, we're a project management platform. So software to run capital projects in construction, but built more like iOS is for your phone. So it runs out of the box with the default apps, but you can build your own if maybe we didn't think of something you do. But as you can guess, to us, data is pretty important, and quality data is what really makes a difference. So hence the topic today, but I'm not going to waste a lot of time on it because I have three experts up here that are way better at data than I am. So we'll just get started and have you all introduce yourselves, and we'll just go right down the line. And name, who you work for, and one interesting fact outside of work for the people here.
First of all, thank you all. I know it's just before lunch and you all must be hungry, so I'm grateful for you all to sitting here patiently. My name is Harpreet Suji. I work for OnIndus. OnIndus, a little bit about OnIndus. We are an advisory firm for owners, not just on program management, but also construction, technology implementation and integration and data analytics. I myself, a little bit about myself, I have more than 18 years of background in software development, business process optimization, integrations. So I've done a lot of work with data in different domains, travel, finance, higher education, government sector. So I'm glad to be here. And you asked for a fun fact?
Yep.
I have a couple. Well, outside of work, I have produced short movies, and some of them have won the TIFF Awards.
Awesome.
All right. Hi everyone. I'm Doreen Salema. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company called Grips. Grips is an early stage startup. We started 4 years ago. That's a fully managed data platform for capital project owners. What that means is that we take data from beginning to end, all the way from collection, where your data lives, collect, store, analyze, add intelligence, and then serve it back to you in forms that you could use. Bit of background about myself. I did my master's here in Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, so I'm close to there now. Our company is based in New York. I'm originally from Egypt. So fun fact, my first job was surveying around the pyramids in the desert, which was really, really exciting. Another fun fact is I used to bowl professionally, which people find really funny right now. And yeah, like that's right. In the past 4 years, I don't do much outside of work. So that's where I am.
And I am William White. I am the lead software engineer for STV. And what my team does is build custom solutions and augment custom solutions. In fact, we have teams that build solutions on Kahua to help provide anything. We've built systems for rail, systems for searching, all different kinds of data. And data and data quality is kind of the core of what we do. It's the core of sort of everything. It's the base that builds off of anything. You can't deliver a good software solution without good data. And so data quality makes a big difference. Something about myself outside of work. I grew up in a restaurant with and I helped run it with my family for many years. And so I'm very passionate about cooking and that.
If you learn nothing else from this panel today, I'm a really boring person compared to these three. They're pretty awesome. All right, so we'll dive right in. One of the stats that we quote in the abstract is 96% of data remains unused when it comes to construction. And so Doreen, we'll start with you. What do you think is contributing to that, and why should we care?
All right, so I think the first thing there is that when we say unused, I don't think people even know where their data lives, right? And when we started that journey of Grips, we've spent the first 2 years building a platform in order to collect the data in the first place. So the first question is, where's your data? Usually it's in multiple systems. Some of them you own, some of them you don't. It's in different forms. It's in documents. It's actual data that's entered in a database. And it's really hard to work with because the quality of it is not that great. You have most likely many different versions of a document. You don't know what you're looking at. You don't know if it's the latest. You don't know if that's the one you should be looking at. Someone collected some type of information, thought it's useful, put it maybe in a photo, maybe in a document, maybe again put it on like a SharePoint, or sent it to someone by email and is hoping it was stored in the right place. So I think that data collection is a very big problem. Once you've actually collected the data, then you realize that the quality is missing. So you need to start working on better quality data that is actually useful and current. And then finally, I think that the technology itself to allow people to utilize data is lacking. Now that's improving, but for the longest time, like, how can you really access data? We want people to be more data driven and to make better decisions based on their organizational data. But are we, as now technology providers, providing interfaces that are easy to use? Where the reality is that that's lacking in an industry like construction, and I think that needs to improve, and it's improving now with different ways to search for your information, search for relevant information, make it possible to adopt. So that's kind of like on the technology side, and then of course, as cliche as that sounds, but like the process and the people parts of it. So that's where consultants come in, but I think that process and internal mandates or internal will to even utilize the data that you have and take a look at the data that you're collecting that goes into contractual requirements. It goes into all sides of the organization, really, and today probably changes job descriptions. Jobs that didn't exist before are being created to really kind of pay attention to that. Why it matters is kind of like the last part of your question, is that I think that with all the presentations that we've seen today, there's so much more emphasis on building more efficiently, sustainability. There are new things that people care about in projects that didn't exist before. And for people to even have the time, the creativity to think about those, we need to remove all the boring data entry issues or manual work that frankly people don't want to be doing anymore. So I think automation is a big part of it to really make sure that we're able to meet these goals of carbon neutrality and all these ambitious goals. We could meet them faster if we deal with data better.
Yeah, and Harpreet, she mentioned business process, and you've done a lot of business process analysis over time. Anything to add as far as why data is so underutilized from that perspective?
Yes. Besides, the points that Darine touched upon, that, data, construction projects, infrastructure projects generate a lot of data, and they're all in different silos. There's a lack of integration. So, but there are solutions. I think what we have found in terms of business processes is alignment from the source where the data is coming. There needs to be some education as to why that data is being collected and why there needs to be an accuracy in that data. Also, what we have found is, there's so much enterprise data, but decision makers have a hard time accessing that enterprise data, or it's in a form which is not easily interpreted. So, as some level of skill is required to interpret the data and present that analysis to help make those decisions. So when I feel like one of the main reasons why we see a lot of issues with data or the data quality or data accuracy right now is also with the way sometimes how the project management information, which are the source of most of this information, data, is how they are set up. Are they aligned with the business processes? Are we making them digitizing them, but are we making them too cumbersome that they are not adopted? What about your PMIS system? How is the adoption going? What are the challenges the users are having? Because are you tracking that? Are you addressing that? And that's where automation comes into play, training comes into play. So it's not just business processes. Data is not just like it's a technology problem or it's a process problem. It is also people. It's technology, system, and people. So it's a combination of all of those.
So then, William is one of the guys whose title's changed recently. All of you are attacking this problem from different angles, and one of the things that Doreen mentioned is it depends on the system, like where did the data originate. So what is one thing your team is doing to maybe aggregate systems? And on the second part of that, maybe just for the general audience, what do we mean by data, right?
I think that's a very good question of what we mean by data, and I think it could be many different things. But in our industry, it tends to be documents. It tends to be different any number of different things that you collect for projects and processes, and what we do to sort of help aid in that is guide it, right? So you can have all of these different things, but if they only get communicated in an email with a PDF or in some PMIS system somewhere, and there's never the ability to guide that access for the data that goes in, then you sort of wind up with this mess all over the place. So one of the things that my team does is build those interfaces, and whether that means building it on top of or within a system or building an entirely custom system on top of it, to help guide that input. And I think the main thing that I want to drill in on is its communication, to go back to the people part of things. It's communication on sort of two ends of that spectrum. It's the data coming in, like, why did you collect this? What was the reason why you put this in? I think in a lot of these situations where there's inspections going on, or even in asset management, you wind up collecting a ton of data, and a lot of it you're not really sure why you're collecting it or where it's going to. You need that communication in either interface design or literally with the people who you're collecting this data for, to be able to not only collect that pertinent data but put it in the right place. And then on the other side of that, when it comes to analysis, I think that's a big communication place where people sort of miss or miscommunicate what they want or where they want it. You need that expertise in order to not only be able to analyze it, but to have that feedback loop of, I analyzed this and came up with this answer. Well, that wasn't quite what I was looking for. Maybe we should go back and sort of refine this. And so it's that sort of iterative refining process.
So then, Doreen, one of the things that Grips does is they work to try to assist in automatically pulling some of that data and scraping some of that data. When you're working to extract information that's pertinent, how do you remove the noise?
Right. So that I think that's kind of a combination of a few things, right? So software and data companies today, in the age of AI, and you're probably seeing those all over the place, right? Where in every industry there are data companies right now, AI companies, and working to figure out how to make the organization more efficient with different tools. Vertical software is extremely important in that area. So our team, I have a background in construction, so my master's was focused on text in construction contracts, AI on construction contracts. That was way back when I was here, but so we have 12 years of experience between both me and my co-founder each in the construction project. So when we talk about data and when we talk about what we're doing, we're focused on the design, construction, and operation phase. We are not, for example, focused on climate data or sustainability data. There are verticalized solutions for every area. Energy data. I think that specialization of a company and of the experts that are trying to work with the data is very important, and it's very important to correctly identify what you're working with. And then there's a part that's like, where is the data coming from, right? Is it really just the PMIS? Is it the PMIS and financial data? Is it also public data? Because a lot of people, for example, for estimating use cases are looking at public data and databases that have availability in terms of pricing. So there is a focus that has to be decided from the beginning on what data we're collecting. And then once that data is collected, there are different those are more internal AI processes that we apply in order to understand where that data belongs. So we've built our own knowledge graph that's based on our domain knowledge and expertise, and figuring out whenever we collect data that belongs in our world of standards, it belongs in a certain area. And then that way we're able to identify what matters in this case, what doesn't, and then later drilling down on very specific use cases of the data. So like, you're using it for the purposes of estimating, you're using it for the purposes of change order review, you're using it for the purposes of closeout. In some organization, they need all revisions of shop drawings. In some organization, they only want the latest. If it's a claims use case, it's different. So I think that the use case itself, paired with the technology, paired with the domain knowledge, is extremely important to really come up with the solution that actually works for the person using it.
So, Harpreet, data governance becomes a term that we start to hear a lot then. You work with a lot of customers as well. Are there features within technology that can support data governance that are maybe something people should be looking for?
Yes, lots of those. I think the first step for data governance is, how are you standardizing your data? Because that is going to be the key to how you retrieve the data and how you build upon it. I mean, I'm going to probably jump ahead and say with AI, how you get your system and your organization AI ready, which is coming down the line. So, standardizing naming formats for your projects, making sure that across all systems, it is the same naming format that is there for projects, so that the data can be integrated across different systems, and you can look at it in a combine. You can combine the data and have a complete picture. Also, accuracy of the data, like how accurate, how recent is the data. So you need to set up project controls in place to make sure that you can identify when was this data collected, right? Because that will give you an idea of whether you're making the decision based on data that is 1 week old or it's 1 month old. So that is very important part of data governance, knowing when it was collected. Accuracy, I think that comes with training, but a lot of it comes with project controls, like making sure you've set up your PMIS systems. Like I know there are some highly customized, like Kahua can be really customized. So making sure that your system is set up with your business processes. Why are you collecting that data? And at what point do you need to start collecting the data? We heard about the Inflation Reduction Act earlier in the day, and where organizations want to track those credits. But at what stage of a project do you want to start collecting those credits, and how are you going to track those? So having those conversations and then defining it in a process, along with making sure that there are enough aids that are out there for the people who are actually putting in the data, right, to understand that is going to be really crucial in ensuring that the data is set up correctly. Of course, at the back end, I think I'll let William expand on that, but that's also, the data cleanup and monitoring the data to make sure that it's accurate and it's aligning. I'll let you talk more about that.
Yeah, so I think the governance conversation is one that doesn't happen enough. I think people get caught up in, I'm putting my data in this place, I'm putting my data in this tool, and that's going to kind of take care of it. I think the tackling data quality starts there. But as you said, the tools and the places you store it, there are different things you can put in place. You have to first make sure that they align with your company's strategies and policies, which is easier said than done, especially when you get a lot of different people in the room. They have different opinions on how things should go and where they should sit. But I think it's important to tackle that sort of in flight. Once you've got that data stored, what is your policy on checking it? So as you said, where does it go when it's done being used? Where does it go when or is there an expiration on this data even? Does it get archived at a certain point? And is that a standard thing that happens throughout the use of the data? And there's a million other different little questions that going through that governance practice with professionals and people who understand like how to go through it with a company, making sure that your policies are in line and followed everywhere is definitely a difficult challenge.
So let the record show we went 24 minutes in a data conversation before getting to AI, just so you know. But AI is an important topic because what is AI and machine learning built on? All of this data. So we've got 6 minutes left. You each get 2 minutes. Doreen, we're going to start with you. What is one way that data quality boosts AI, and what's real versus what maybe are pie in the sky ideas?
Yeah, I'll talk about something we're doing right now. So essentially, you can apply LLMs on top of documents to classify these different documents, so you don't have to worry about naming conventions, so you don't have to worry about someone labeling documents with certain attributes in order to find them later. So for AI to be more efficient, you need to build a knowledge graph. And if anyone's reading about these topics, you're going to hear about graph RAG and knowledge graphs that ground your LLM so that you don't get hallucinated results. So that's something we're doing right now. We could automatically ingest all of your documents, historic, non-historic, in a system, in a network drive, classify them based on domain knowledge, based on the knowledge graph that we've built accurately, and then extract information from them. So extract warranty expirations dates, extract company names and make sure they match company names in your database, extract asset data that can go into your asset management systems. These are all things that are doable right now, and they need, I wouldn't say accuracy in terms of data collection, but accuracy in the storage. So we collect all the data and then we deal with it in our own storage.
Awesome. William, what's something that your team is doing to improve data quality and teach some new models?
So one thing that we do is, and I know maybe cliche in there, but we're building a data lake and access to that in different tiers. And I think that building that and having, I don't want to call it like a data evangelist sort of thing, right? But having the ability to communicate that at the different levels and just being able to collect and refine that data from many different places. So.
Awesome. And then, Harpreet, what could all these people out here be doing right now to be ready when AI is truly usable, not just kind of aspirational? And there are usable things now, but like we're talking about when I can have it look at a PDF of my drawings and tell me this is a 5-year, $500 million project. Like that would be awesome, right? But we're not there yet. What can they do to prepare for something like that?
So besides what Will and Dareen already talked about the data. I think there are some non-data things that need to be done to prepare for AI. I was listening to Mark from NRPIC this morning. Like he said, policy. You need to work and align on legal policy and HR policies as to how AI can be integrated into your workforce. The way I envisage it is that we would be using AI, but those would be what we would call like AI agents, like specific AI to do specific jobs, but there still needs some human oversight, right? So you maybe want to set it up as an HR policy that this particular AI agent is, treated like an employee. So figure out all that in terms of policy for HR. And also, I think what is also needed is from the people aspect, which is really important, is most of the workforce is feeling threatened that they're going to lose their job to AI. And I think that is where you need to start training your workforce to be able to understand that how AI can actually be a tool and not something that's a replacement. So that is where, data, where they learn how to have an oversight of an AI agent. That is the kind of mindset shift that can be worked upon with your workforce, which is going to be extremely important. Also, what is going to be needed is standardizing your data. That is the number one thing that has to be done. Like AI is going to work on data. It's going to scan all these various tables that you have of data and then give you the predictive analysis. It is all basically coding that at the back that you will do, like, okay, lot of conditions that you set at the back end. So making sure that you start working on standardizing your data. That is crucial. I cannot emphasize that enough. And also making sure that you start assessing your system. I always say the number one thing is assessment. Assess your program. And then once you assess your program and its workflows, assess your PMIS to see what enhancements you can make to make sure that the data organically flows accurately into the database and there's no additional oversight that's required. And the other thing that you have to work upon is, the work ethics of your AI. You have to make sure that OnIndus has actually developed an AI tool called OnIndus Relay that only works on your database, and it does not, it's not open source, so it does not allow data corruption. So those are the kind of policies that you need to define internally and the legal implications of it to start getting ready for the new tools that are already being developed right now, how you would integrate them, how would your workforce use them, what would be the oversight required for those.
All right. Well, we're going to finish right there, right on time. Lunch is after the next session, or you can meet these folks out in the hall if you have further questions. Thank you all for your time today.